first speaker, Laurel, who's going to introduce the topic and give us the lay of the land of where we're at with hardware innovation for ecoacoustics.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. Give me a moment to get a PowerPoint up for you here. And so my role today is not to give a talk on a specific topic. Well, it is on a specific topic, but not a deep dive on any one piece of this, but rather to frame the broad question and the reason we're here. So we are part of the Bioacoustics Horizon Scan, and we're focused specifically today on hardware innovations. And as I was thinking about this, there are lots of exciting things that connect to hardware, and I kept having to bring it back to hardware. So it's fun to start here, and then I look forward to seeing it branch out from here. So as a moment of historical context, if you were to look around at the world of sound recording in 1935, it looks something like this. So this is some of the first sound recordings that were made in North America. This is Peter Paul Kellogg. This is his amplifier. You haul it around in a wagon and then a large van, recording on wax cylinders. And so this is less than 100 years ago. It's pretty awesome to think where we've come within the human lifetime. So to jump forward nearly a century, these are some of the more recent devices, but even as early as the 2000, 2010, a lot of the equipment that was being deployed was being custom made by the people who were doing the recording. So this is the Elephant Listening Project. These are marine autonomous recorders. And a lot of that remains true. The people who work in bioacoustics are often sitting at the interface between biology and engineering, using the equipment, but also pushing the horizons of that equipment. Jumping forward even more, this is now overlapping work that I've done. We wanted to record the sound of Panamanian rainforests at different heights in the forest. And at the time, it took like 50 pounds of equipment or 22 kilos on a rope, and you only break that rope once before you realize we still need some hardware innovations. It takes a surprisingly long time for something to come down 24 meters and hit the ground. But if you look in the last few years, there's been just an explosion of the availability of terrestrial hardware. We have to update this slide all the time. I'm sure it's out of date. I'm sure some of you are looking at it thinking, the thing I use, the thing I make isn't on there, but you can look at this just to see the diversity of options, of price ranges, of advantages. Are you running as long as you can? Are you as sensitive as possible? All of a sudden, there's a ton of acoustic, especially terrestrial hardware available. So to think of this in the framework of the Horizon Scan, I'm going to give just a few of the high-level things that I think fall into each of these bins to sort of start our thinking and the conversation. I'm hoping that our speakers today will do a deep dive into some of them, and then I look forward to hearing from the audience more details about each of these and what you see in these bins. And two of the bins I think will be prominent is what is the role of hardware in enabling us to go beyond presence or presence absence. So are there ways that we can use hardware innovation to help us understand density, species presence, localization, things like that? And also on-device detection. The vast majority of the recording that we do now is stored on a device, on SD cards for later download and processing. And are there ways that hardware can help us move toward either more rapid data acquisition or more pre-processing on the unit to make it easier and faster for people to convert sound into actionable information? So some of the things that I think sit on that first horizon, I already mentioned the availability of terrestrial recording units, or at least the affordability, depending on where you are in the custom situation, and even during COVID, the availability of electronic components. The availability piece is still a little soft, but we are light years away from where we were even in the early 2000s. And in parallel, we're seeing decreasing size and cost of marine recording units, digital storage, larger storage media, more robust scheduling options that allow much longer recording durations, and decreased electronic noise floor that increases the detection radius. But yeah, and probably all of us here are somewhat familiar with these things that are improving our lives right now. So where are we going? Some of the things that I think sit on that second horizon include things like multi-element microphones. And so if you take multiple microphones recording simultaneously, you can decompose original recordings into sources that are in different locations, which can greatly facilitate some of the automated identification approaches. kind of a boring technical one, but also super important, is improved microphone characterization, so that across different types of equipment, throughout the lifetime of a microphone, we're using something like a tone sweep to enable us to calibrate across projects, across time, to really be able to pool data and make broader scale inferences. Things like contact microphones and lasers for vibrational signals, we're just discovering as the technology gets better, we're getting a deeper and deeper look into soil invertebrates, invertebrates that live on plants, agricultural applications of detecting insect vibrations and separating out disease-carrying pests and potentially beneficial insects. Things like acoustic cameras that use microphones combined with video feed to provide information either on how many animals or what species of animal is producing sound. So for fish, this can be really valuable because you can be snorkeling and hear fish, but who knows which fish is producing that sound. And here's an example of that. This is a pond full of wood frogs up in New Hampshire. So the colored dot lands on the sound source. This is a ring of 48 microphones surrounding a video camera, and it's decomposing where the sound occurs, along with a measure of amplitude. And so you can imagine getting much better information about how many frogs are calling in this, as well as the cool social dynamics. Enough frogs. Onboard detection of focal signals. So this is using the instrument itself to find signals, and that enables both real-time monitoring, where you can be transmitting that information, whether that's rare and endangered species, potential human-wildlife conflict species, chainsaws, gunshots, information of immediate conservation relevance, or just simplifying the analysis pipeline so that people aren't going out and coming back with SD cards with 300 gigabytes of data, but instead retrieving a curated subset of the signals in the environment. But there's quite a bit of work to be done to make this reliable and well validated, as well as the rise of distributed acoustic sensing. And if this isn't a familiar concept, one of our speakers today is going to do a deep dive, so I will leave it for that, but super exciting innovation, especially on the marine side. And then the fun speculatory third horizon. So things like, if we see qualitative changes in battery life or the ability to transmit signals, what does that, how does that shape how we can deploy equipment? Affordable equipment with highly accurate clocks. Some of this is out there, but the ability to deploy lots of equipment that can do localization. Drone-assisted placement or data collection, a little bit sci-fi, but for things like gliders and marine environments, already an important part of how we do work. Improved animal-born recorders or acoustic tags that can provide information about cue rate, types of vocalizations produced by different individuals, dial patterns and vocalization and individual activity, which are really important features of calibrating and benchmarking some of the density estimates, as well as improved hardware supporting DAS, so miniaturization and cost reduction. So with that, I will turn it to either to discussion and questions or straight to our speakers for a deep dive on these topics.
I think you got a unanimous, like, that was a rip-roaring tour of the current state of the field and what's coming up, and you got a unanimous like gasp of excitement in the chat.
Oh, awesome.
I don't think there were specific questions. I think that actually set us up perfectly to dive deep and then come back for a general discussion. But thank you so much, Laura. That was perfect.